Hello everyone, Pastor Nathan here. I'm glad to be able to bring you the sixth principle in our relationship series at this time. As we know, the first four commandments deal with our relationship with God, and the last six commandments deal with our relationship with others. And so tonight we're going to be looking at the sixth commandment, and the principle with the sixth commandment is the principle of love. And see, in Exodus 20:13, we find the sixth commandment. It says very simply, "You shall not murder." You see, this command, it's simple. Don't murder. Do not murder. It's very simple. And see, murder is the premeditated killing of another. It's something planned ahead of time. And so what I want to talk about is how are we really guilty of murder without actually murdering someone? So I want to look at some steps that lead to murder in our hearts and ways that we are not being loving to others. You see, hate precedes murder. We look at the story of Joseph and his brothers in Genesis 37, and his brothers, they wanted to murder him. They hated him and they wanted to murder him, and their hate for him is what led to them wanting to murder him. Jesus says to hate someone in our heart is no different than wanting to actually murder them. So if you hate someone in your heart, it's no different than actually murdering them in your heart. It's a sin. You see, anger precedes hate. Cain, in the story of Cain and Abel, Cain killed Abel, and it all began with his anger for not being accepted by God. He let his anger overtake him, and he ended up taking the life of his very own brother. It was the first murder in the Bible. His anger turned to hate, which therefore turned to murder. You see, we must deal with our anger. I'm reminded of a pot of boiling water. If you don't turn down the heat, if you don't contain it, if you don't take care of it, it's going to boil over. You see, unresolved anger in our hearts and in our lives will cause us to boil over and will cause us to hate and ultimately murder someone in our heart. And see, offense precedes anger. Cain was offended. He was offended that he was not accepted by God, that his sacrifice was not accepted by God, and this offense led to anger. And we know that what led from the anger was to hate and to murder. We must deal with offense. Unfulfilled expectations precede offenses. When you expect something and it's not met, maybe your expectation is not met, it can lead to being offended with that person. And see, the bait of Satan is offense. Satan wants to get us offended with one another because he knows that if we're offended with one another, we will end up hating one another. Forgiveness is what precedes love, and love is the opposite of hate. You see, we're commanded to forgive our enemies. And how do you love someone who hates you? You forgive them. Forgiving someone is the best way to love someone that hates you. You forgive them, and holding on to unforgiveness is like pouring poison for your enemy, but drinking it yourself. Forgiving others is for your own benefit. It releases you from the bondage of unforgiveness. Hate leads to murder, but forgiveness leads to love. So when the Bible says you shall not murder, this deals with hate and love. We are to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. The greatest commandment is to love God and love our neighbors. So my challenge for you today is to realize maybe the areas in your life where you are struggling with unforgiveness or struggling with anger or hate, and in your heart really murdering people and not loving them. And ask God to forgive you and ask Him to give you the strength you need to be loving and forgiving to those that need it. And I promise you, when you do that, you'll be released from a bondage like never before, and you'll be free and you'll have liberty in the Lord, and you'll be blessed. I hope that this video has touched you and encouraged you. I pray you have a great day. God bless you.